Heroin and meth use on the rise, ending one Tucson woman's life.
A lot of people were shocked when they heard what happened to her, and how long has this been going on? I said, a long time.
Federal agents seizing meth in record numbers.
The cartels won't produce something and send it across the border if we don't want it.
Accusations of voter suppression in Arizona, a look at one lawsuit.
You want a system that is fair, that is just.
Hello and welcome to Arizona 360. I'm Lorraine Rivera. Thank you for joining us. It's an ongoing trend that has not let up in Arizona. Federal agents are seizing record amounts of methamphetamine at the southern border. Two things to know. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, meth seizures nationwide have doubled in the last 4 years. In the agency's last fiscal year, it seized close to 130,000 pounds of the drug, a 115% increase from 2014. And at the same time, the drug is getting cheaper. In Arizona, the price has dropped 92% since 2008. We'll hear from the DEA in a moment. But first, a story about what it's like to lose a loved one to drugs. Tucson native Kelsey Beitel was battling addiction when she died in October. She was 27. Kelsey's parents, Jerry and Louise, say she started using several years ago. Here's what they want you to know about their only daughter.
I remember Kelsey as a beautiful young girl, woman. Growing up, she loved playing soccer. That was her first love. She was very athletic. She was on the high school swim team. She was in track. She was very witty, vibrant.
Big, beautiful smile, and she'd just literally light up a room.
And she could be opinionated when she wanted to, and that was good. We got into a lot of different debates.
A graduate of Santa Rita High School who went on to attend Pima Community College and then graduate from Northern Arizona University. Jerry and Louise said their oldest daughter wanted to get into the medical field. She always made time to check in with her parents and constantly showed love and compassion to her brother Stephen, who has special needs.
I think she really loved her family. We were a very close family. She and I had a very special relationship.
Help me understand when things became so different. How did she turn from this person that you've just described to the reason why we're talking about her today?
Well, we got some information from a book when she was in rehab. It was actually a letter to the opiate, and she indicated that she had problems with opiate addiction for about 7 years, which we were not aware of.
As the Beitels try and piece together how Kelsey became addicted, some details stand out more than others, like the oxycodone prescriptions she received in high school after tearing her ACL twice while playing soccer, or the boyfriend she lived with after college, whom the Beitels say used drugs himself. How was she able to maintain functioning in the public? She was a server at a restaurant. I mean, she managed to do that well, but come home and be a different person, essentially.
I think when she was on the opiates, she had more of a handle on it, more controlled. I think the more recent drugs with heroin and meth, I think that's when it got out of control. Because she was missing work, she was sleeping, she was up all night because she couldn't sleep. And then she was going through major paranoia and psychosis at night. So it got to the point where she was not functioning anymore.
The Beitels say Kelsey became a different person. In and out of jail, she lied and stole, to the point where they even got a restraining order against their daughter.
We know that our daughter, was in there somewhere, but those drugs, she was basically a prisoner to those drugs in the end.
The end came in October. The Beitels say their daughter hit rock bottom. Police arrested Kelsey on disorderly conduct and drug charges. After spending the night in the Pima County Jail, the Beitels say Kelsey told a friend she planned to use one last time, then she would go to rehab. What happened next is unclear and remains under investigation. Less than 12 hours later, Kelsey, a former lifeguard, wound up unconscious in a swimming pool at this complex on Tucson's east side. She died at a hospital after being taken off life support. While the official cause was drowning, the coroner also found methamphetamines, marijuana, and opioids in her system. At Kelsey's funeral, Jerry made it clear to loved ones drugs led to his daughter's death.
Many of us are asking ourselves what happened to our beautiful girl. Drugs happened. Addiction happened. She isolated this problem from many, and although she thought she was in control, she was clearly not.
Gaining control is what keeps Jerry and Louise focused on the future. They wish they had more control over Kelsey's treatment.
And there were several times where she would not go to rehab, and it was clearly under the influence of drugs. But it's against her civil rights. So like I said, you're stuck.
But when you're on these drugs, it's the cognitive state of mind. You're not in that cognitive state of mind to make a rational decision, for your safety or your health.
They are now advocates for legislative change aimed at sparing other families from this type of tragedy.
Everyone we talk to has committed to support and be a part of this movement for legislative change in Kelsey's name. Kelsey always wanted to change the world, and that's kind of like our mission statement. But sorry, but this is hard. But we feel like whatever we could do with stories like this to get the word out, that maybe we could get some kind of change.
Looking back, anything you wish you would have done differently?
A lot. I think I would have wanted to connect with her more. One of the things that I had learned is that the anger, because the anger for me was my disappointment in what she could have been. That she could have been a doctor or a physician's assistant. And the anger was so much for me is I couldn't approach her anymore. I couldn't hug her. I couldn't get beyond that. And I kind of stayed in the background, and now I regret that. I wish I had engaged more. So that's something I have to live with for the rest of my life.
Drugs paved our daughter's future. During Kelsey's passing, I cried out that I will never be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. This aisle.
Life without Kelsey is their new normal. Surrounded by friends and family, they're finding comfort in accepting the past. You had said at one point, Jerry, you're not embarrassed or ashamed, or you're through with that because you have to help educate the next family that could be like yours.
Yep. I'm not going to hide it anymore. And that's why a lot of people were shocked when they heard what happened to her. And how long has this been going on? I said, a long time. 7 years, but the worst of it, like the last 3 years, but the really bad part of the last couple months.
I want everyone to go home this afternoon and hug your child or loved one a little bit longer and a little bit stronger.
And you don't want this to happen to another family, though we all know.
Too painful.
It's happening daily.
And families don't know what to do. We didn't know what to do. We were pretty green going into this. And I think, like I said, there is no playbook. People will say you got to get them to that rock bottom. How do you get them there? What's too much to throw them over the edge?
This is for life for us. We lost her for life. It's tough. Everything reminds me of her. Everything.
The day Kelsey was found unconscious, the Arizona rehab campus in Tucson was expecting her. She had a bed reserved there to begin treatment again. Dr. Leonard Dittmanson cared for her during previous trips to rehab beginning in 2017. He says Kelsey went through detox at least 4 times. He spoke at her funeral.
An evil has come to this land. An evil like no other. A false light seeking the souls of our children and our sisters.
In our studio, Dr. Dittmanson explained why the number of people using both heroin and meth is on the rise.
Well, I think the reason that there's so much mixing of the two is that, again, the heroin is very potent as well. And it's almost too potent in so much as it causes a lot of sedation, drowsiness, or what we call nodding off. Well, if the effect is so potent that you fall asleep, that defeats some of the purpose of taking the drug. So the methamphetamine is used to prevent the person from falling asleep or from nodding off. And that's more, I think, a lot of the use potential is as an antidote, if you will, to the sedative effects of the heroin.
According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, meth doesn't have any natural substances. The National Institute on Drug Abuse says chemicals can include over-the-counter cold medicines and even ammonia.
The problem is that it's being mixed with so many other drugs, including, most recently, we've been seeing a large surge of what's called MDMA, or ecstasy, that's mixed with almost all the methamphetamine that we're seeing in Tucson.
How easy is it to stop using methamphetamine?
Not easy, not easy. But, and the problem is that we don't have any what we call medication-assisted treatment. There are no antidotes or medications that substitute for the effects of the methamphetamine. So the only way that we can really make an impact is through abstinence-based intervention. But there's a lot of craving and a lot of withdrawal and a lot of, it's a neurostimulant, so when they stop using, the brain becomes very depressed and yearns for the stimulation effect of the methamphetamine.
Last year, the Centers for Disease Control say 70,000 people died of drug overdoses. Among half of those deaths, the user had more than one narcotic in their system. Statistics from another report show meth-related deaths jumped from less than 2,000 to more than 6,000 in 5 years. You treated Kelsey. How is it that someone like Kelsey found her way from heroin onto meth?
Unfortunately, I think one of the feeding processes that leads to the use of methamphetamine is the widespread use of neurostimulants in the treatment of attention deficit disorder. And there are a lot of children and young adults that need treatment with neurostimulants, but how much treatment is needed is really a controversial area of medicine now. And those are all amphetamine salts, those derivatives of methamphetamine that are used for other treatment of attention deficit. In her case, her early exposure was to pharmaceutical use for the treatment of attention deficit. There is more evidence that early exposure of a developing brain to a neuropsychostimulant does potentially create an environment in the brain where years down the road the brain will need or want, or pick a term, crave, that stimulatory effect.
Her mom and dad said she also had anxiety and depression. So at one point she was on Percocet, oxycodone, anxiety, depression medication. It sounds like the perfect storm to create some sort of addiction, and her parents say that she had tested positive for an addiction gene. Is that possible?
There's more and more interest in what might make a certain individual more susceptible after taking maybe a 2-week course of oxycodone for a knee replacement or surgery. There certainly seems to be some, not so much genetics as what we call epigenetics, that certain individuals exposed to certain substances are going to develop an addiction issue over other individuals. I think the science is still out there, but we absolutely need to know more about this. Because if we can avoid treating younger people and exposing them to these drugs, or at least using them more cautiously, we're definitely going to be making an impact on who develops full-on addiction.
How did this happen to someone like Kelsey, who comes from a middle-class family, seemingly with loving parents, a strong family situation? How does this happen to someone that, you know, we see smiling and jovial in many of her pictures and videos?
Well, as you know, she was an A student at Northern Arizona University, and we know for a lot of individuals, both the amphetamines and the opiates are almost performance-enhancing drugs in a certain perspective. They make you feel better, that you stay awake longer, you can get your homework done, you are more attentive, all sorts of positive effects that are perceived from the early effects of the drug. But as time goes on, the body becomes more tolerant, and this is true of the amphetamines as well as the opiates. So you need more to achieve the same effect. You're taking it all day long as opposed to maybe just before you have a test the next day. So the abuse potential just escalates and snowballs in a very bad way.
How affordable is it if you want to treat an addiction to these powerful drugs?
No, it's a horrible problem. And I think the point is that this is chronic disease management. The concept for a lot of addiction that you just have an intervention of some kind, maybe a 5-day detox, a 30-day residential treatment, even a 90-day residential treatment. I think that modeling is not appropriate anymore, because those brains are remodeled in such a way that it is a chronic disease. And the chronic disease, like diabetes or hypertension, is a lifetime of management.
It takes years for a person to recover from addiction. Dr. Dittmanson says it can take at least 4 years for psychostimulants like meth to fully leave a person's system. And on average, the cost to treat opiate and stimulant addiction ranges from $5,000 to $15,000. And now to what some are calling the resurgence of methamphetamine. At Arizona ports of entry, meth seizures have more than tripled in the last 5 years. Recently, the DEA gave us a rare look inside a warehouse shortly after agents made a significant bust. Special Agent in Charge Doug Coleman began by telling us why meth is no longer being produced here in the U.S.
The methamphetamine laboratories, which we had back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, those came about as a result of pseudoephedrine, which is the main precursor. It was readily available in the United States, so a lot of places were able to, you were taking it and buying it from Walgreens or something like that, and then you were able to manufacture methamphetamine in bulk quantities here in the U.S. In the early 2000s, the U.S. outlawed pseudoephedrine and put it behind the counter, and so what that did is it shrunk the market for clandestine laboratories here in Arizona. But what it did is it pushed all the major manufacturing down to Mexico, because Mexico doesn't have the same regulations in place. And so they started manufacturing the bulk quantities, the gigantic 100 and 200 pounds at a time down in Mexico. And that's where we're at today. And at first, the Mexicans were using pseudoephedrine as well. But over time, Mexico started regulating pseudoephedrine and making it harder too. So what happens is they then start manufacturing using a different method that doesn't require pseudoephedrine. And the funny piece of that is they're using the method that the old outlaw bikers who actually started methamphetamine used, and they're using that in Mexico now to produce methamphetamine.
Special Agent in Charge Doug Coleman says Arizona is one of the primary places where meth enters the U.S., and Phoenix serves as a distribution point to the rest of the country. Last year, the DEA seized 20,000 pounds of meth.
And we're talking about heroin all the time and about the opioid crisis, which is obviously the major drug issue facing the country right now. But 10 times the amount of methamphetamine is coming in that we're seizing as heroin. And in Arizona last year, we had about 400 methamphetamine-related overdose deaths and about 1,000 heroin deaths. So the more that's coming across, the more our addiction problem is and the more people that want to use it. The cartels won't produce something and send it across the border if we don't want it. And so they're expanding their market.
On this day, we see more than a 100-pound meth load. Coleman says DEA agents intercepted it in the Phoenix area. Though he can't talk specifics, busts like this one have similarities.
But generally speaking, what happens is a load this big will come in. Pieces of it will get splintered off to feed the Phoenix area or Arizona in general, and then it's heading back to the Midwest.
So this was likely headed out of the state?
Yeah, the majority of it. Now remember, of this 110 pounds, a piece is going to get shipped off that will be distributed here in Arizona, and then the rest of it will be shipped out of state.
This seems like a lot of methamphetamine to me, more than 100 pounds. Does this impact the cartel at all?
So this is 100 pounds or so, roughly. Last year we seized 20,000 pounds. That's what we seized. It's a significant hit. What it does for us is that it will create a vulnerability in the system that we can exploit. So somebody's going to have to own up to what happened here, and somebody's going to have to pay off what happened here, and they're going to have to change the trafficking route, and maybe just a little bit for us. It creates that vulnerability, and then it's our job to exploit it. So anytime we take anything off, there is the potential that it does great damage. In the big scheme of things, 100 pounds of meth is a great hit for us, but if they're shipping it across in that amount, I don't know that it's damaging the profits so much, but what it does is it creates that vulnerability. Methamphetamine generally is brought across in concealed compartments in vehicles for the most part. What we see here is our marijuana. A lot of times it's brought across by backpackers. We've seen all seen the pictures of them coming across with a 50-pound sack on their back. Methamphetamine, they usually conceal it in a compartment of a vehicle, either an 18-wheel truck or any place, because you can bring in relatively small quantities of it, and it's difficult for us to detect. So most of our hard drugs, we see those coming across in concealed compartments. The cartels always build in the idea that some of the stuff that they ship across is going to get taken off. So they're going to come in as many different ways as they can.
Across the southwestern border, Customs and Border Protection officers and agents at immigration checkpoints and ports of entry are seeing record meth seizures. At ports of entry, Customs officers saw a near 380% increase in meth seizures between 2012 and 2018. And in that same 6-year span, Border Patrol agents saw a 180% increase.
This is a pretty standard wrap that we see for methamphetamine, usually in some kind of duct tape like this. and usually in this same type of cylindrical fashion. And it's because it's easier to slide into concealed compartments when it's like a cylinder like this. They wrap it up in the tape, and then usually they'll cover it with something, or they'll put something in there to throw the dogs off. Sometimes we'll see small amounts of this actually inserted into human bodies, right? They'll carry small amounts of this across of the border that way. We also see it strapped to people sometimes as well. Obviously, if you're strapping or you're inserting, you can't carry the same volume across as in this particular case, which involved vehicles and houses and things like that.
Approximately what's the dollar value on this bust?
It depends on where you're at, but for us, we're looking at $1,500 a pound. This is 100 pounds of it, so we're looking at 1.5 million or so roughly. And when the farther that you get to the East Coast, the more the price goes up.
According to Coleman, meth produced in Mexico is becoming more profitable.
This they control completely. They own all this, so the profit margin is huge. You can probably, for a pound to make a pound of methamphetamine, you're probably talking less than $100 worth of chemicals, and then you can sell it here for $2,000. And remember, the farther these drugs go back to the East Coast, the more expensive they are.
This past election produced one of the state's best voter turnouts for a midterm. Yet the American Civil Liberties Union of Arizona claims that hundreds of thousands of ballots may have gone uncounted in November. The ACLU says it's because of a long-standing violation of the National Voting Registration Act, and now it's suing to get the issue fixed. As Nancy Montoya reports, the problem starts when Arizonans report a change of address with some state agencies.
When moving across the street or across the state, Arizona law requires you to update the address on your driver's license or state ID within 10 days of the move. You have several choices. You can go to the MVD office, an ADOT authorized third-party service, or do it with a few clicks online with Service Arizona. And when receiving state benefits like access or food stamps, if you move, you must also change your address with the Arizona Department of Economic Security. Now, what you may not know is that in 1993, Congress passed and President Bill Clinton signed the National Voter Registration Act, NVRA for short. It requires the Department of Transportation in each state and the departments like DES to automatically change your voter registration address at the same time you change the address on your driver's license or state ID.
Unfortunately, Arizona isn't currently doing that correctly.
Enter Darrell Hill and Robin Prudhomme Bauer. He's a lawyer with the Arizona ACLU, and she's the co-president of Arizona's League of Women Voters.
You want a system that is fair, that is just, and that is open to everyone.
It should be easy with National Voter Registration to have that done.
They say after years of trying to work with current Secretary of State Michelle Reagan and getting little traction, they joined forces with two Arizona civil rights groups, Promise Arizona and Mi Familia Vota. Together, they filed a lawsuit against the Secretary of State, the Arizona Department of Transportation, and the Arizona Department of Economic Security for violating the National Voter Registration Act.
So what happens when your address is not updated on your voter registration? What does that mean to the voter?
Well, it can have very serious consequences. If for instance, the county recorder doesn't have your current address, they may remove you from the voter rolls if they come to believe that you've left or that you've left a jurisdiction. So it has very dramatic effects on your ability to vote.
Judd Paulson knows that firsthand. In 2018, he moved to a new county within the state.
I actually am registered to vote here in Maricopa County. And when I went to the MVD to change my license over, and I registered with that. And when it came time to vote in the election, I looked up my registration and I was not registered in Maricopa County. So I had to use my registration that was already valid in Pinal County in order to be able to vote.
The National League of Women Voters fought for years to get the NVRA passed. It was meant for people like Judd Paulson who move within the state, and for those who use state benefits. The League saw it as the easiest way for a person to update their voter registration address.
First of all, the National Voter Registration Act was our legislation at the national level. We were instrumental in getting it passed. So Once that happened, we want to make sure that it's being complied with across the country.
Now, here's the problem with how it's done in Arizona. Instead of the address being changed automatically, according to the League of Women Voters, the Arizona Department of Transportation and DES make a person go through a series of steps. And if it's not done exactly right, a voter may believe they changed their voter registration address, but like Paulson, their name could be purged from the voting rolls.
Do they want to make it hard so people are discouraged and don't vote? I don't really know.
While not definitive, voter advocates say an answer might be found by studying the latest U.S. Census report for Arizona. It shows that low-income people tend to move more often.
So we don't have exact numbers, but we know it impacts a wide number of low-income voters.
So is it in the dozens? Is it in the thousands, the hundreds of thousands? What's the gauge on that?
I would say hundreds of thousands. You know, every year, hundreds of thousands of Arizonans move. They apply for benefits. They move from county to county, and each time their information should be updated by the voter registration, by the Secretary of State and the voter registration services. That presently isn't happening.
And those people, adds Hill, tend to vote Democratic. Now, the League of Women Voters doesn't care what party is in office. The group just wants voting to be fair and the registration process uncomplicated.
The League of Women Voters believes that anybody who is eligible to vote should have the right to vote and to vote, have access to vote easily.
The plaintiffs say in the lawsuit that for the past 4 years, Arizona Secretary of State Michelle Reagan, a Republican, made promises that were not kept. Calls and emails by Arizona Public Media to Secretary Reagan's office went unanswered.
Could the state of Arizona, could the state legislature and the governor's office fix this problem?
Sure. Yes, they can.
And the ACLU says if they're not willing, the lawsuit may force their hand.
The transition team for Secretary-elect Kathy Hobbs gave us this statement. Secretary-elect Hobbs is in the process of conferring with the Attorney General's office to determine the right course of action for voters and for the state. She's favored making it easier, not harder, for eligible Arizonans to vote. That's all for now. Thanks for joining us. To get a look at next week's program, visit us on social media and let us know what you think. We'll see you next week.